Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Thanks for listening to No Question About That. You can support this show by visiting patreon.com/NQATpod or in your Apple podcast feed. We do a backer show each week going deep dive into a topic related to United. Or if you don't want to part with your cash, an even better way is to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And now on with the show. Welcome to No Question About That. Today's special guest, Sam Peoples from the United Peoples YouTube channel. How's it going, Sam?
Yes, doing great now that I'm speaking to you.
Very good. Yeah, I was looking through our Twitter history DMs and you'd asked me to come on your show a few years back and we never made it happen. So finally we have done it.
So what do people want?
Yeah, maybe. So
all three of them?
Yeah, all three of them, yeah. I thought I'd ask you about your history a little bit because you've built a very successful YouTube channel, probably a 10-year journey to overnight success and all of that. So tell us a little bit about how you started and how you've got to where you are now.
It literally was the 10-year anniversary, I think, a month ago. It's when I moved into this house about 2 months ago. But boy, it's been a journey. The only reason I started doing anything to do with Man United was because I was doing history at uni and I did my dissertation on the Munich air disaster. And I did it on like the social and economic impact of the Munich air disaster on Manchester and England. And I did loads of primary research. And I was like, you know what? I really quite like writing about United because I had no idea. Only reason I went to uni was to avoid working because I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then, like a lot of people, you can't do that now because it's like 10 grand a year. It's ridiculous. Anyway, moaning aside. And then I started writing about United and I started a blog. The first article I ever wrote on the People's Person was about the summer ball at my uni and how crap it was. I remember that. Fun fact.
And then
I should really. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then that became my job. And then I started working in an office for a company called Ball Street. And they were involved in a lot more YouTube side of stuff. And I was just, at that time, I just really didn't like what the Full-Time Devils are putting out. I thought, because I hated fan cams.
Yeah.
And I started United People's TV to go, let's make it different. And then I started doing fan cams. But then I was like, I'm glad that it kind of effectively over lockdown, I'm guessing is when it happened, when fan cams couldn't happen.
Kind of died out,
Content sort of had to change. And then my sort of content that I've always liked doing became more popular. So I think the journey then ended up being good for me in that sense. And here we are. And United is still shit.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. I started my blog in 2002, was it? I can't remember now. It's a long time ago. Aging myself. I'm old, Sam.
You got some good years, though.
Got some good years, few good years. And we started the podcast in 2009. That was Paul's idea. He was like, hey, we talk about football every week. Why don't we record it? And our first episode I recorded on my Nokia N95 that I still...
Oh, baby.
Had. Yeah, I know. I eventually ditched that for an iPhone. But it didn't make the podcast sound any better. But yeah, it's been a journey. I'm impressed with the stuff you do, not least because you have resisted the temptation to scream into the camera and rage bait all the time, which is what the YouTube algorithm really wants.
Yeah.
And you're doing productions now, like, high quality stuff and all of that.
That's the stuff we're most proud of. That's the stuff we're going to be really leaning into because in the YouTube space, or just not YouTube space, but football space, the low-hanging fruits, as you say, the shouting, the rage bait, the reactions, it's good to a certain degree, but I wouldn't ever really go out and say to my mate, I'm proud of this bit of content I did, and it's just me like spieling at a screen, but doing something that's got more high quality to it, it's helping people understand and realize, actually, no, you can get better quality content than just an angry shout at a screen, which has its purpose, but the shelf life of it is very limited.
Yeah. Has YouTube changed over the 10 years that you've been doing it? And how do you keep up with what the trends are?
I remember back when I first started, I mainly do, probably I reckon about 3 or 4 videos a week. And it'll be like, you have to let a video breathe for 2 days before you put a next one out. You compare that to now where consumption can't exceed supply. Like, you can't do enough, and people just don't seem to get bored of, no matter, if you were to do it 6 times a day, people would still like it. And that's what YouTube wants. They want more and more and more. And then I think the change kind of happened when I started the live show. And since I've been doing that Monday to Friday, that's really built a genuine community. Like, really good people in the United People's TV community all around the world. The chat is actually, they ask questions and they get involved. It's not just angry to a certain degree, because I said we're shit. So last year, like the last couple of years have been grim.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the takeover situation, and then Greenwood, that was grim. And then everything last season, it's just been taxing. But I really appreciate that what I do is a privilege. I literally talk about United all day, so I cannot complain. I feasted on United when I was a kid. I won every argument at school. My 20s and my 30s have been largely shit. So technically, we're coming good, man. 40s and 50s, straight back.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Let's hope so.
I hope so.
Well, look, hey, you have to go through it, right? I started supporting United in the early 80s. Pretty terrible for a decade. Then it was very good. I was way too sanguine about it. I've said before, I wish I was a bit more of a cunt about it. Enjoyed it a bit more, but yeah, some people on the internet may disagree with my take on that, but yeah.
I'm really quite annoyed that I wasn't more of a bastard. Like, I didn't brag about it more. I always have mates who were like, mate, you have no idea. Like, when Fergie leaves, you'll realise what it is. Piss off, man, piss off. Anyway, they were right. Of course they were. And now I'm just annoyed that I didn't just I wasn't more of a twat. I wasn't arrogant enough. I just took it for granted. I was like, yo, United won the league again.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, actually, my assumption when Fergie left and Moyes came in, not that I wanted anything to do with Moyes at all, at any moment, from the time he walked through the door to the time he left, was that United just had way too much money to get it wrong. That despite all the debt, they just had so much money that they couldn't possibly... Alas, they managed to blow £1 billion on absolute rubbish, which is a good segue into talking about United right now. We don't have £1 billion to blow. And Are we going to be smarter in the transfer market this summer? It was very good. We signed Cunha. It was easy. It was quick. This was the new Manchester United. We were efficient. We knew how to strike a deal. We got our man. He came through the door. Everyone's excited. And then we spent the last 6 weeks haggling with Brentford over Brian Mbeumo. Over a couple of million quid by the scenes. What's your feeling about this summer then?
I've properly got sucked in by that. It was the first 3 days of June. 1st of June, we signed Cunha. 2nd of June, we hear that Mbeumo chooses United. And then the 3rd of June, Bruno rejected Saudi. So I was like, it's come on, man. That's it. It's the one. And then, yeah, we've hit a massive, what do you call it, roadblock?
Yeah.
It feels... I know I've seen you tweeting about it, so I know you're kind of in the same mindset. It's United, the United tax fucking exists, all right? It exists. United pay more because we're just pushovers. Everyone knows that we'll reach a point, go on then, we'll pay a bit more. And we're trying to stop that. But there comes a point, and I reached that point on Monday. I always have Monday in my mind because that was in the week in the build-up to the Leeds game. I thought anything before that is kind of, great, he's in really early, but it won't really affect plans. As long as he's in by Monday and it's got a week build-up to the first pre-season game, which isn't even the tour, then Amorim's got enough time. And now that we play in Stockholm on Saturday, Amorim's got one fucking signing in. And the thing that annoys me even more about that is 0 sales. Like, we cannot shift them. And the thing that we all thought going into this summer was about PSR, right? No, we thought, oh, crap, we're right on the edge of it. And then it came out from Mark Critchley in The Athletic that, actually, everyone's been doing United's accounts wrong. We've actually been doing the numbers on the complete wrong Manchester United account, and it's actually Red Football Limited. Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. So we're actually not really in threat. We're not at threat of breaching PSR, but we've got no fucking cash. Like, that's the problem. With no cash, we can't get cash in. What do? You haggle over a few mil. I really do think There's the one thing I would say I'm most annoyed about with Ratcliffe since he's come in is like how involved he is. Like, you've hired people, dude. Like, you might love business, you might be a good businessman, you might love United to a certain degree, but just stay the fuck away. Like, just let people do their damn job. I think that's the thing that's annoyed me the most, because he's definitely involved in this Mbeumo situation. Like, United have clearly got a price and they're not going above it.
Yeah. Well, there's two things I think on that. One is to come to your latter point first. It's billionaire dickhead syndrome, isn't it? He's been very successful at one thing. He thinks he knows everything. You see it over and over again. It infects them. Look at Elon Musk over in this part of the world. He did one thing brilliantly, like made cars, and then he was like, I know everything.
I used to like him, and then when he bought Twitter, I was like, well, fucking hell, you got no idea what you're doing, man.
Well, yeah. He knew how to change that platform. Not for the better, I would argue.
Yeah.
The other thing is the cultural reset is just really difficult. And there's I used to work in corporate strategy for a long time. I was kind of one of those people everyone hated because I changed their jobs all the time or deleted them and mean stuff like that. But there's a phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So you can say, hey, we're going to go do this thing, but the culture of your organization will always supersede anything you decide to do. And it's just been very hard to turn United around culturally. And the two things they really want to do are, especially in the transfer market, sell the players that don't fit with the manager, whatever one thinks about Rashford or Garnacho or Tyrell Malacia or whatever, and stop overpaying for players. And it's both of them are proving really hard. Selling players because they're all on massive contracts.
Yeah, well, it's still I think this summer and probably next summer, we're still going to be reeling from previous failures in terms of the contracts that have been handed out. I don't particularly think that Ineos have handed out any horrendous contracts since they brought anyone in. I think everyone's on like somewhere between 150 and 200, which is kind of par for the course for United. So I don't think we'll get hampered too much with that. But I fucking hate Jadon Sancho, so much. It's actually quite bad how much. I wish I could laugh about it. It's just I've never seen somebody whose head is just so in the wrong place for such a long time. And despite the fact that there's so many warning signs for him, there's just no gain of awareness. Is that not taking a pay cut? No. You'd rather and it's just the United fan base right now is. Look, it doesn't fucking help that we're seeing Liverpool sign the world, that we're seeing City spend another God knows how many 100 millions, and Newcastle, and then it goes further and further down. United chose a really bad time to be skint, because the money that is trickling down, we're basically in the Super League, and the money that is trickling down, you're going to be seeing Bournemouth spending probably 40, 50 mil on players, and just further and further down. And we're supposed to be coming from 15th, and the aim is 6th. We need a lot more than Cunha. I think that's for sure. Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah, and it may take longer than people want. I mean, there's certainly a culture war amongst United fans online. That's the nature of all the platforms these days. It promotes that kind of argument, but people are going to have to be more patient than they want to be. I think it's going to be very hard to get everyone off the books, and I would not be surprised if 3 or 4 of the 5 that are currently in the bomb squad are not sent out on loan and effectively on our books next summer as well. It's just very difficult to do a deal for some of these players, and probably doesn't help that we've signalled very strongly to the market that we are desperate to get rid of these players. And it's fair enough. Ruben wants his own men, and every manager in the history of football has wanted their own people, and so I don't really begrudge that at all. And maybe there wasn't another option. You could have faked it and kept them in the squad while trying to sell them, I suppose, but it's just a difficult position for United now. Yeah.
It was that bit that I don't really sort of understand why people they're trying to say, United keeping them out of the squad. You're idiots then. You're making it obvious that they're going to sell. That fucking ship has already sailed, man. Everybody knows. Well, Rashford, you mean the person that we sent out on loan to Villa last season? Or Sancho, the person who spent all season? The club wants nothing to do with them. If they were just in the squad, I'm really happy they're not. Because it might be making it... Do I think it's making it more difficult for them to sell? I think you'd have to be a really dumb football club to look at United and go, oh, look, Rashford's back in training. Oh, maybe. No. You'll be able to look through that so easy and go, well, I know what they're trying to do, but he's clearly got no future there. I'd rather Amorim didn't have any of those distractions versus the potential it might make it easier to sell them, because I don't particularly think it would.
Yeah, I guess the one standout there is Alejandro Garnacho, who should be the one that makes us a lot of money. May still do. I mean, there'll certainly be... The floor has been set. Jamie Gittins and so on for wide players in the 50 to 60 million pound range. That should be the kind of price that United pick up for him. It depends. If it's true that he really wants to stay in the Premier League, that limits the market somewhat. We'll see. It's a facet of modern football, isn't it? These players have an awful lot of power, especially when you put them on massive contracts, and it takes a lot of the leverage away from the clubs. United cannot force these players to do anything, really. And so we're still going to pay them, and there's still a PSR hit, at least on the players we purchased, maybe not on Rashford and Garnacho. But yeah, so our position from a negotiating point of view is not awesome. But yeah, those sales are needed because it's the cash problem. I don't know whether you've seen our finance show I do with Jamie, Subprime Goals on Twitter, and we've gone through all the details and stuff. So PSR is not a problem this year. Depending on what we buy this summer, it may be a problem next year. We'll see on that one. Cash is a real problem, and we're tapped out on owner funding. So really the additional cash can only come from the credit card. Is that a Bank of America loan, which has been rolled over? We don't want more debt, do we? Ratcliffe has said, I think, pretty strongly. Omar Barada has certainly said we're going to live within our means, which just means we have to sell to buy beyond Mbumo if it happens.
Like a question about the finances, right, which I've always thought. The finances have worked in quarters, right? Obviously, from a cash perspective, if you're like Cunha, I think was 3 payments of 20 mil, and the first one's due this summer. And Mbumo, from everything I've read, I think it was somebody who works for Sky Sports, Lyle something, can't remember his surname. Sorry, Lyle. He was saying that Brentford wants 65 mil guaranteed. I don't know exactly what that would be in the split of the terms. But is it really just a case of... That said, I think we've got about 70 odd mil in cash right now as a club. Thereabouts. Yeah. And that covers, that's not just for transfers, that covers literally the running of the football club on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
Like, how quickly are we going to get the money in from Elanga or Alvaro? Or does that work in installments as well? Mm-hmm. Like, if Real Madrid are buying Alvaro for like over 4 years, does that mean we get the 7 mil over 4 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that one. No. It's a good one for Kieran Maguire to go dig into.
Sorry to butt in. It's so shit, isn't it? How much we've got to be accountants now as football fans.
I know. Yeah,
it's so boring. I don't want to talk about it.
It's always come fairly naturally to me because I did an economics degree and worked in strategy and stuff for years, and so finance was a kind of just there, not being an accountant, but understanding basically how it works. But yes, we would much rather look at the football pitch and what's on there, which, well, maybe we wouldn't at the moment, than having to dig through some spreadsheets. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, cash is not a problem because United could just go borrow more. But if you're setting, and I think rightly so, if you're saying, hey, we've got to reset this club because we've lost money every year for the last 5 years, about £400 million worth, as a business, right? Different from the PSR calculations, that you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere and say, hey, we're going to reset that. The easiest thing, the most brutal thing was to fire 400 people. But it has taken £50 million worth of costs out of the business. And so now we have a business that should make a profit this year or break even, right? And that just sets United up in a good way for the future. And that plays into the transfer market because if they're saying, hey, we're not going to spend more than we actually have, then that's why cash is a problem. Because otherwise you could just keep borrowing money, which the Glazer family have done for 20 years, and especially in the last 6.
Yeah. Don't mention the Glazers, please. Fucking hate those.
Yeah, well, one day they'll leave and we can all have a big party then.
Jelly and ice cream, come on. One thing that's really, really annoys me is, like, I know that Ratcliffe's done a lot of shit, if I'm honest. He's made a lot of bad mistakes. But how on earth are you trying to say that Ratcliffe is the same as the Glazer? Like, you are just undermining the amount of shit that's happened to our football club ever since that fucking family took over. And to try and put Ratcliffe in the same, like, it doesn't really matter. I suppose, say that it does matter how bad Ratcliffe gets. But to try and put them in the same category as each other right now is just, it's fucking reactionary, it's childish, and it is so far removed from the goddamn truth about how much damage that family has done, how much money they put into our club. Well, that's an immediate differential. It's just that frustration is, the United fan base, I suppose understandably after last season, is at fever pitch. It's at boiling point. Anything can just, pew, like you put a fork into a dishwasher backwards and you just get punched in the face. That's what it is now. Anything can just trigger United fans. Yeah, I feel for Amorim right now. There's no doubt that he's going to get more out of the squad because he's had a whole pre-season. It's what any sporting fan that I've ever spoken to about what he did when he went into that club, they all pointed towards the pre-season. They were like, that's when he was able to bond with the squads, gel with the team. There will be more. Holding can't be as shit as he was last year. A lot of those players can't be as shit as they were last year, but we finished 15th. So if we're going to get from there to 6th, there's not enough improving players, I don't think, to take us that whole way up, considering how more competitive the league's going to be. Cunha's a great start, but shit me, we need more.
Comes back to your point earlier about just how much money there is in the Premier League and how much, it's not just the money that's in the Premier League, but compared to other leagues. And so you can get Bournemouth or probably Leeds outbidding AC Milan for players, and it just makes the depth in the Premier League so much stronger. There's that story that Amorim, I think Fernandez told the story actually, that Amorim was surprised about the quality of Ipswich in his first game, right? And this is a club that went down with barely any points. And so, yeah, moving from 15th to 6th, you could look at the squad and go man for man and go, this is not a 15th place squad. Surely someone can get more than this. But it is 25 points that we need to make up. And 25 points comes from where exactly? And Cunha's not going to bring it on his own.
No, he's not.
So yeah, that is certainly the challenge. So back to your point on Ratcliffe, yeah, like I don't, there's almost nothing I agree with him as a person, right? I don't like his politics. I don't like his business practices. I don't think him as somebody who fucked off to Monaco to save a few £billion in tax is particularly good for the country or whatever, right? But I put that all aside. What is he trying to do with the club? He's trying to turn it around from 20 years of, or at least 10 of horrendous management, executive management and decision making. And it's really deeply baked into the club how bad some of those decisions have been, and we've, relative to our competitors, have fallen a long way behind. So that's a real challenge. You can't magic it up because the ownership structure, so any more money that Ratcliffe puts in is basically handing money to the Glazers. It doesn't make any sense unless more equity is released by the Glazers. So he's just in a really, really difficult position. And I wonder whether he was surprised about just how much negative reaction it's brought on him as well, and how much of a shield he's become for the Glazers. He
did say that, didn't he, in the interview? He goes, if I ever got abused as much as the Glazers, I'd leave. So I think he's very much... PR hits him harder than it hits the Glazers because of distance. Like, they can just go to Tampa Bay, they just close everything and go, let's just talk about America now. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It's a lot, physically closer to home, even if you are in Monaco. But like, year one was pretty grim, really, all round. I don't really... The whole... Even getting the football structure was wrong. Dave Brailsford making an absolute fuck up with Dan Ashworth, not realising... I put down Brailsford mainly. I think we're in a much better position now, but the summer was always going to be the test for Ineos. That was where fans who were angry with them during the summer were either going to get the justification that they're not good enough, or fans who not like overlooked, like, I don't agree with redundancies, but I understood that we did have a bit of a bloated workforce. So I understood why it had to happen. I'm not sure about the second round. I think that was a little bit brutal. I didn't expect 400 to go. All of those, it's because all those decisions were made before we were able to get rid of any players or just move on the underperformers, because realistically, moving the wages on from Rashford, Sancho and Anthony in isolation would be worth how many hundreds of standard employees?
Yeah.
A lot. Probably most of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can't fucking get rid of them. So, yeah, I don't think this is because Ineos and Wilcox and Barada and Vivell are shit at what they do, but they're going to have to accept compromises. And I think that's where Ratcliffe's business mind is clashing with the Mbeumo one. It's very simple for him. 65 mil. Nah, you're not paying more than that. It's kind of not really how transfers work. There's a lot more variables in a football transfer than there is in buying 100 barrels of oil, for example.
For sure.
And I think it's kind of trickling down. I think United, like, for example, Sancho, like, we got paid 5 mil by Chelsea because they didn't want him. Just use that 5 mil, use that as a severance, just fuck him off out of the club. Accept that. That's compromise. Because it's either that or he just sits on the books. We can't have the books getting just obliterated by waste next year. That's what we need to do. And so much of that squad is waste.
Yes, an awful lot, yeah. Sancho is a tricky one because, yes, you could sever, and it's very common in football, right? Arsenal did it with Mesut Ozil. You pay about half his wages up front and say, hey, here you go, here's a freebie. There would be an impairment charge, right? So it would effectively reduce our PSR headroom. Do we want to take that? We may have to. Or maybe someone will pay the wages he apparently wants. Marcus is a really hard one just because those wages are so high, and at some point there'll be a compromise between United and whatever club is interested in Marcus on splitting the wages. We will subsidise another club for one of our players yet again.
Yep.
In 2 years' time, this won't happen anymore, I hope, unless we make more horrendous decisions in the transfer market. It seems they have a better process now, though. So, you can argue about whether the 5 we bought last summer were good or not. They won't turn out to be disasters, right? There's degrees, isn't there? Yeah, I don't think we're buying another Sancho. Although, how many people saw that? I didn't see it. I thought it was brilliant for Dortmund.
Mate, so. I was buzzing. He was like 21, Solskjaer. I'm like, come on, man, this is the one. I was loving it. Yeah, never mind. If you maybe a little bit of Captain Hindsight, maybe if you did a little bit of background research into his personality and you saw, that's what annoyed me, is as soon as I saw this stuff, then I just did like an hour of research and I was like, oh, fuck, he did that at City. Like, I think he was breaking through when he was 16. They went on a pre-season tour. He wasn't included and then just refused to train at 16. Then he goes to Dortmund and he turns up late and he has to get chauffeured to training by the assistant manager because he's so late so often. Like, there were so many red flags. Quite easy to spot red flags. And then maybe United just didn't look deep enough. I don't quite know. But unfortunately, Sancho is the worst signing post-Fergie. And I really do think I need to do more research into it. But he's going to be right up there with the worst transfers I think this club's ever made. Yeah,
for sure. Pound for pound. He's going to... I did a little poll on Twitter, not scientific, of course. And I was careful to make it humorous and not... I don't really like picking on players, but he may be an exception. And he came out as the winner of that bracket. No surprise, recency bias and all of that, but just the cost to the club. I mean, £73 million as a transfer fee and not far off that again in wages that we've paid him. We've got some back from Chelsea and Dortmund. But yeah, it's brutal in terms of waste and just the drama as well. And it'll be a good day when we move on. And one day Jadon will look back on his career. He'll have made a load of money, but he won't have achieved as much.
Mate, I'm telling you, I've said this so many times. He's going to be that old bloke, like sitting on the rocking chair on the front of his porch, just like, I think probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, he will at one point. Yeah,
100%. But yeah, just hasn't got that awareness yet.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
New year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Ruud van Nistelrooy, years later, was asked about it. He regretted some of his behaviour with Ferguson. And Ferguson took no prisoners, of course, except where he really loved the player, Eric being the counter-example there. But he regretted it, and I think that's true of so many footballers who don't achieve what they could have achieved. And Ruud had a fantastic career, and I don't suppose he regrets spending a couple of years at Real Madrid, but maybe left United a bit early. Marcus will feel the same in years to come. I mean, maybe more of that story will come out, exactly what has happened with him. I mean, we've all heard some of the stories, of course, about his behaviour around Manchester. But I'm sure he'll come to regret some of it. And maybe some of it he'll feel bitter about how the club, or maybe Erik ten Hag, behaved as well. And we'll have the fullness of time. We can make an assessment about where it all went wrong there. But I'm sure some of these players will go, hey, we could have achieved more. So.
Yeah, I think that's without doubt. That you talk about the cultural reset. Like, again, I'm fucking bored of talking about accounting. And I'm also bored about talking about a cultural reset at Man United. Like, how many times can you fail to do a cultural reset? I don't really know. Like, it feels like United have done it half-assed before. Like, it's not about backing the manager, but it's about having the top-down support so that because ultimately the culture of a football club is created by the person who's sat at the top of the tree. And because it's been someone who just has been half-assed and out the country, effectively Jabba the Hutt, that's who your inspiration and your role model's been. So I like to think that changes with Barada. I like to think that changes with Wilcox. I don't think anybody's going to be looking at Ratcliffe and getting inspired. But he does want this football club to win everything. That you can't have a go at Ratcliffe for that. They've all got the ambition for United to win it all again. And again, the fucking Glazers never had that. Their model was top 4, stay there, good. That's good for us.
Yeah, and I think in time the structure we've got now will prove to be about the right one. We'll find out whether they're any good at their jobs. I mean, Barada, it's a big jump to go from a COO of effectively the City group to Manchester United. As much as City are successful and making tons of money from various Abu Dhabi-based sponsors, it is a big jump. And in terms of like his executive presence, I think he's growing into the role. I've spent a lot of time with CEOs of much bigger companies than United, and the smell test for me was that he was a bit lightweight, not on an operational side and decision making, right? I'm sure they've done their due diligence there, but just in terms of his presence, I think if Ratcliffe disappears into the shadows a bit, it'll be good for Omar as well. He'll have to come forward and be the man. Wilcox, I think anyone I speak to throughout the game reckons he is the real deal. It's obviously a big jump for him as well. It's first time doing the job. What was it Gianluca Vialli said years ago? It's like putting a learner driver in charge of a Ferrari, and there's a little bit of that. Learning on job, we've done that a lot at United over the last 10 years. It doesn't...
Yes, we have.
Yeah, it's not always worked out for us, but I think there's a lot of feeling that Wilcox is the right man. Vivell, excellent track record. And they're going to bring someone else in under him to support him as well. So it just feels like we're probably on the right track. Of course, the rubber meets the road with actually buying players that are the right ones for United.
What's your prediction for how this summer's actually going to end up? Because we've got, 4 weeks now, I think, until Arsenal? Fucking hell, piss off. 4 weeks.
I know. Yeah. I think they're waiting on Mbumo to do the rest of the deals that they want to do, because that's the big one. Because if it's not going to happen, they may reconfigure what their summer strategy looks like, put that money into a striker or a midfield or whatever and move things around. Think about Ahmad's role in the team and the squad slightly differently. So they're waiting to get that one over the line. They'll see who blinks first. Brentford, they've moved the goalposts clearly, but also there's a takeover or partial takeover happening there as well, which I'm sure is like taking some mind share. Like the British South African 100+ millionaire coming into the club there might change their thinking a little bit when you get that kind of investment. They may have an opinion, the new investors. So I think United are trying to do that deal first, and then the rest of them will come. This is guesstimate on my behalf, but it made a lot of sense for where United were at, that they would focus on slightly younger, higher talent players. That's Vivell's space for sure.
Yep.
We've seen it at the youth level where they're being very aggressive. And I think it's great. Personally, like their low risk, high reward type signings. And I think they'll go for a middle space where it's the 15, 20, 30 million pound player rather than the 100 million pound player that comes after Mbeumo, if they can get the sales done.
I think that's I think it's absolutely the right move. Like, you look at Leeds, we're speaking about in the live show today. Leeds are looking at, I think, Anton Stack for like 20 odd mil. You've got Richard Rios linked with Roma for like 30 mil. You've got Enzo Barrenetxea, who's just gone to Benfica from Villa for like 15 mil. Now, all of these are like decent squad level midfielders. If you give me 100 mil now, I'd much rather sign 5 players for 20 than 2 for 50. Like, that's what we need. We don't need a massive squad because we're only playing once a week next season, but we need some depth. We need to stop. We need to find Adam Wharton before he costs 70 million. That's what we need to do. That's what Vivel's job is for me, in my opinion. And also getting these ones over the line. But then I suppose a lot of this is kind of down to Matt Hargreaves, really, because he's a negotiator, isn't he?
Still is.
Yep.
Still is. Yeah. I'm not sure his track record is awesome, but we'll, yep. Yeah, no, I think you're right there. There will be a question at some point once we're on the upswing about buying those 70, 80, 90, 100 million pound players for sure. Right now, there's this argument in football about whether it's the ceiling or the floor, right? And I think it's the floor that sets your course, and we have too many players that are below the floor that we would like. And so I think you're probably right about the strategy being, if we're going to lose 5, the 4 or 5 that we bring in there should not be a catastrophic difference between our best player and our worst player, which has been the case, right, for quite some time.
I think if I was being optimistic about the end of this window, I think Rashford goes the whole way to the end. I think Barca will probably play it, and as I think you're right, we'll subsidise that, and it'll be a loan, and it's going to be like bullshit. But I hope that they put an obligation in that instead of an option, because that was, and even an obligation that doesn't include a 5 mil bloody fee to get out of it. No, hell no. You think, right? You put the obligation, I suppose it's Captain Hindsight, but you say, right, if you want to pull out the obligation, then you pay 50% of the value. Like, Chelsea would never have pulled out if it was going to cost them 12.5 mil, and he'd already be off our books. Anyway, I'm optimistic that Sancho. Am I optimistic? Who am I kidding? It's probably the one I'm least optimistic about. But I think as long as the players go, and I think, we've got left attacking mid and Cunha. I genuinely think a central midfielder is probably where I would put my focus. But equally so, a goalkeeper and a striker. I think those are the sort of 4 positions. Right attacking mid, I think you've actually... It depends. I kind of agree with you. The reason they're probably not looking after him, not looking for transfers after him, is because if it doesn't work out with him, I could see us then investing into a midfielder, moving Bruno further up the pitch, and instead of finding an alternative to Mbeumo, you actually sign a completely different position. Yeah. I think that's probably what would happen.
That's probably right, and you're right on the assessment of where the money should go next. It's, of course, challenging because it's hyper-competitive and everyone wants to sign the best players, but it's a shame it will go late in the window. But I come back to that thing Barada said, sometimes you move slow because it's the best thing for the club. It's deeply frustrating for us fans and probably for Ruben Amorim, and I hope he doesn't cross the line. He's a strong-willed character, and I'd hate to think that we're in a situation where he just walked away at some point. No,
if I said this before he came in, I was like, if it doesn't work out with Amorim, I fuck knows where I'm turning, man. I don't know where I'm looking next. I don't know where my energy is going to come from if it doesn't work out with Amorim, because he just seems right. But it's just whether or not he can flush out the club quick enough, and whether we have the structure and the finances to bring in what's necessary. Because football moves so damn fast. It's like even if the club was sitting there going, we're patient, you just can't be with how fast the Premier League is on and off the pitch now. That's the reason it's hurt United so much these last 10 years, is because of how rapid the rise of our direct rivals has been. Yep. They've surged whilst we've like vertically fallen off a cliff. So the gap's become so damn big that another 2 years of doing it wrong, would be massively damaging because it already is bad. The gap's already big enough. You could just don't be shit next year. That's all I want from United. Just don't be shit. I don't need any pots. I just want consistency, like week in, week out. You drew 0-0? You won 1-0? You lost 1-0? All right, cool. Just don't go from there to there. And I'm still reading about Bilbao. I can't believe it went there.
We need to move beyond the banter era. Yeah, Bilbao was deeply depressing, and it's affecting our summer for sure because it's £100 million that they would have accounted for. It's the new Champions League football is extremely lucrative, but also very, very hard to fail in.
Yeah.
So you have to be catastrophically bad, which of course we would manage to do.
Yeah, we would.
To not get 10 games out of that. All right, before you leave, we've got 4 or 5 games in pre-season. I don't know, it's not that inspiring. I don't know how you feel playing Premier League clubs mostly. It's Fiorentina at Old Trafford, Dave returns and all that. That may be interesting, but the Leeds in Stockholm and then Everton, Bournemouth and West Ham.
West Ham, I think.
Yeah, it's not super exciting. Maybe it will be for the good people of New York, Chicago and Atlanta.
I don't think they'll be getting up. I mean, they will be getting up, but it is what it is. The pre-season, I'm always in a bit of a pessimistic mood, and as soon as I see United lining up and I'm seeing them playing again, I'm like, football's back. Go, sweet. Okay, let's go. I just want to see some patterns. I just want to see Højlund not be absolutely garbage. I'm looking forward to seeing Cunha. I'm looking forward to seeing Ahmad. There are some Xerxes. What's going to happen with him? Will he play as that false 9? There is some reason to be excited, but I'll be honest, not really. Just going to have to get through the pre-season games and hope by the time we play fucking Arsenal, the first game of the season, of course, Gyökeres making his debut at Old Trafford, of course, that we're in a much stronger position because Amorim needs more. And Arsenal have had a cracking window so far.
They have, yeah.
Unfortunately.
They've been very aggressive in the market and signed some very good players. I would not necessarily have put Gyökeres as their top need. I mean, he's obviously going to score goals. There's a risk associated with that because he's never played at the top level. Just like the data set for him is very low. I tried to make that point and coming to your original point about YouTube commenters. I have not yet found a community on YouTube, either in terms of the numbers or people who are willing to engage with the content. I get a lot of abuse, which is fine. I have thick skin, but they did not like that comment. Yeah, you do need it in this game. Yeah. I'm not that inspired by preseason. I'm looking forward to some youngsters playing. That's always the best part of preseason. I think maybe there's a breakout player, and maybe we see Kone come into midfield and he does really well. He's quite raw, but we'll see. Yeah. Maybe Chido Obi scores some goals and says, "Hey, Højlund, you can have some time on the bench." Aiden Heaven, I'm looking forward to seeing him fit again. I think he's got a very good chance of being a starting left-sided central defender. Amazing that we picked him up for $1.5 million.
Really, really good example of Wilcox doing his job properly and spotting those. And there must be more of them that exist. Like Heaven's not an isolated case. He's just the one that's got visibility now. There's probably someone at Blackburn and someone at Preston. I don't know who else or where else. Like, find those players. Yeah. Be smart. Like, do shit that other clubs aren't doing. It's easy enough to go, you want to sign a striker? You could sign Isaac or Gyökeres or Sesko. Great. Okay, well, anybody could have done that. A 4-year-old could have told me that. Find me that player before he's that player. That's what I said. I don't want to pay 75 mil for Wharton. I want to pay 20 mil and sign him for the Championship. And a year later, he's now a 60 mil player. That's what I want United to do.
Yeah. And United have got a good pitch here because our squad is not very good, as we know. And the pitch to younger players like that this is an accelerated path towards the first team. Look at Chido Obi. Look at Aiden Heaven. This can be a development path for you. That would not have been the case, of course, 10 years ago. Yeah. Where, although we brought youth players through, we were also looking to sign the best of the best. And we'll get back to that point at some point, hopefully. Touch wood. You've still got to believe, right? And we will sign that £100 million player because that's what we need. But right now, younger players who are hungry, really want it, can be embedded into the culture and have that path forward are a really good shout for us. And all right, Sam, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, man.
Very good looking studio there.
Cheers. I'm happy about it. That's not me
The
bragging.
people's person empire is growing. I look forward to watching your content this season, and hopefully some of it is going to be on the positive side because United are not absolutely terrible.
Hey, let's hope so. And say hi to Paul for me.
I will do. I will be seeing him in about a week.
Cool.
So, yeah, that will be very good.
Awesome,
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Catch
dude.
up with you again. Bye now.
Bye-bye.